Silent observers. The Valaxian observation team huddled around their monitoring equipment, 6 eyes each scanning different sections of the diplomatic reception below. Their cloaking technology rendered them completely invisible to human detection methods, or so they believed. Target assessment protocol initiated, Commander Nilox announced, his scaled fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Remember, the Council needs accurate threat evaluation before first contact next cycle. Understood, Commander, Officer Trixis replied, adjusting her sensory appendages. Though I fail to see how these primitive creatures could pose any real danger to the Galactic Confederation. The diplomatic reception buzzed with activity below them. Representatives from 27 Earth nations mingled in the Grand Hall of the United Nations building, ostensibly gathered to discuss climate initiatives. None suspected the small satellite that had appeared in orbit 3 weeks ago was merely a decoy, drawing attention while the real observation team worked at ground level. Don't underestimate them, Nilox warned. The Council has learned through painful experience that appearances are deceiving. The Murthy looked like harmless floating crystals until they decimated half the Centauri fleet. Primitive or not, humans have an alarming propensity for violence, added Specialist Vorla, the team's xenobiologist. Their historical archives are essentially catalogs of increasingly efficient ways to kill each other. Commander Nilox focused his primary sensory cluster on the gathering. Identify primary threat candidates. Subject Alpha, Trixis said, highlighting a tall human male in military dress. General James Harrison, commander of North American Defense Coalition. Note the weaponry concealed beneath his formal attire and the 4 security personnel maintaining proximity. Subject Beta, continued Vorla, Ambassador Chen Wei, representing the Eastern Alliance. Cybernetic enhancements detected in left arm and right eye. Purpose unknown but likely combat-oriented. Subject Gamma, added Specialist Krell, the team's technology expert. Dr. Olivia Martinez, weapons developer. According to intercepted communications, responsible for recent breakthroughs in plasma containment technology. Nilox nodded approvingly. These were obvious threats, powerful, visibly dangerous humans with access to destructive capabilities. The Council would expect them to identify such specimens. What about that one? Asked Vorla suddenly, her attention shifting to a corner of the room. Female human, approximately 40 Earth years, standing alone. Nilox redirected his gaze. The human in question appeared unremarkable. Average height, brown hair tied back in a simple style, wearing clothing that blended with the formal attire yet somehow avoided drawing attention. Designation, he inquired. Krell consulted his database. Dr. Elena Shaw. Occupation, theoretical physicist specializing in quantum mechanics. No military affiliation, no security detail, no weapons detected. Then why flag her? Trixis asked, irritation coloring her tone. Something feels wrong, Vorla replied, unable to articulate her concern more precisely. Watch her movements. The team observed as Dr. Shaw navigated the room. Unlike General Harrison's commanding stride or Ambassador Chen's calculated positioning, Shaw moved almost invisibly between conversations. Her gestures were minimal, her expressions controlled, yet people gave her their full attention when she spoke. Notice how they all answer her questions, Vorla pointed out. The general, the ambassador, even the security personnel, they all provide information without hesitation. Intelligence gathering, Nilox concluded, his interest piqued. But to what end? They watched as Dr. Shaw approached a refreshment table, casually selecting a glass of water. General Harrison joined her, his voice carrying to their enhanced receivers. Elena, didn't expect to see you here. Thought you'd be buried in equations at the lab. Just curious about the diplomatic dynamics, James, she replied, her voice measured and calm. That satellite has everyone on edge. Nothing my team can't handle, Harrison boasted. Just some Chinese tech demonstration gone wrong. We'll have it sorted within the week. Of course, Shaw replied. Though if you need any help with the quantum signature analysis, my department is available. I'll keep that in mind, the general said before moving on to louder conversations. Did you catch that? Vorla asked. In 30 seconds, she confirmed the satellite has military attention, assessed that multiple nations are suspected, determined that Harrison's team is handling the response, and positioned herself as a resource, all while letting him believe he volunteered the information. Nelox felt a growing unease. Pull up more data on this, Dr. Shaw. Krell's appendages flew across his terminal. Multiple advanced degrees, published in fields ranging from quantum physics to xenobiology. Theoretical, of course. Former emergency medical specialist. Multilingual. Pilot's license. Extensive travel to remote regions. A multi-domain expert, Nelox mused. The preparation of CES type. One who acquires skills methodically. Commander, Trixis interrupted. I'm detecting an energy fluctuation in our cloaking field. Impossible, Krell insisted. Our technology is centuries beyond human capability. As if sensing their attention, Dr. Shaw suddenly looked directly toward their observation post, a feat that should have been impossible given their advanced cloaking technology. Her eyes narrowed slightly, head tilting in curiosity. Then she smiled. Not the polite social smile she'd offered to the diplomats, but something predatory and knowing. She casually placed a small device on a nearby table before walking away to mingle with other guests. Scan that device, Nelox ordered, alarm building in his thoracic cavity. Krell jerked back from his scanner. It's emitting a signal on exactly the frequency of our cloaking field. How is that possible? Trixis demanded. Their species shouldn't even know what to look for. Nelox watched as Dr. Shaw glanced back once at the device, that same unsettling smile playing across her otherwise unremarkable features. I believe, he said slowly, we have just identified the most dangerous human in the room. Mission abort, Nelox barked, retracting his observation equipment with uncharacteristic haste. Their covert post, disguised as maintenance infrastructure in the ceiling of the diplomatic hall, suddenly felt exposed. But, Commander, Trixis protested, our protocols require. Protocols be damned. Nelox cut her off. That human just detected technology that should be undetectable. We need to relocate immediately. The team scrambled to pack their equipment, their normally precise movements now hurried and clumsy. The mood had shifted from scientific detachment to something their species rarely experienced. Fear. How? Krell demanded, collapsing his analytical array into a portable module. How did that human identify our energy signature? We're using phase-shifted quantum camouflage. Nelox had no answer that wouldn't terrify his crew further. If Dr. Elena Shaw had detected their presence, it meant one of two equally disturbing possibilities. Either humans were far more technologically advanced than their intelligence suggested, or this particular human possessed observational abilities that bordered on the supernatural. Transport signatures active, Trixis reported, her voice strained. Extraction point is 4 levels down, East Maintenance Corridor. Remember, Nelox cautioned as they prepared to exit through the ventilation system. Maintain total silence. Our audio dampeners may be compromised as well. They emerged into a service corridor, the crude human technology surrounding them a stark contrast to the sophistication they had witnessed in Dr. Shaw. The emergency stairwell offered the safest route down, avoiding human surveillance systems that might now, inexplicably, be able to detect them. 3 levels down, Vorla suddenly froze. Commander, incoming transmission on our emergency frequency. That's impossible, Krell hissed. No one knows we're here except Central Command, and they wouldn't break protocol. Put it through, Nelox ordered, dread building in his thoracic cavity. What came through their comms wasn't static or encoded Valaxian language. It was a clear, perfectly modulated voice, speaking in flawless galactic standard. To the observers from beyond, your cloaking technology is impressive, but your escape route is compromised. Security teams are sweeping the East Wing. I suggest the maintenance elevator at junction C7. It's currently offline for repairs. No cameras, no personnel. The team exchanged alarmed glances. The voice unmistakably belonged to Dr. Elena Shaw. How is this possible? Trixis whispered, her composure cracking. The language patterns, the frequency modulation. Shaw couldn't have had more than 10 minutes to analyze that device. This is a violation of contact protocols. Nalox responded automatically into the comm, though he knew they were well beyond protocols now. Shaw's voice came through again, tinged with what might have been amusement. Your species has distinctive movement patterns, very efficient, but too synchronized for a maintenance team. Also, your phase shift technology creates a slight dimensional ripple at 0.03 microns beyond standard human visual range. Fascinating stuff. Now, do you want my help getting out, or shall I alert security about potential intruders? It's a trap, Krell stated flatly. Obviously, Nilox agreed. But our alternative is potentially exposing ourselves to human security forces. He checked their tactical positioning. The next viable extraction point is 2 kilometers away, too far to maintain our camouflage without detection. Commander, Vorla interrupted, movement at the end of the corridor. Through the narrow window in the stairwell door, they could see security personnel beginning a methodical sweep, scanning with handheld devices that couldn't detect their presence. Yet the guards moved with purpose, clearly following some kind of trail. Junction C7. Shaw's voice came again. Decision time, observers. Nalox made his choice. Sometimes, he said to his team, the safest place is right next to the predator. At least then you can see their teeth. The hidden predator. The maintenance elevator at junction C7 was exactly where Shaw had indicated, an ancient mechanical box with a folding metal gate instead of proper doors. True to her word, it was marked with repair notices, its cameras disabled. This is madness, Trixis muttered as they crowded into the elevator. We're following directions from the very subject who compromised our security. Your alternatives are limited, came Shaw's voice through their comm system, startling them. The security sweep is moving faster than anticipated. They're using prototype quantum fluctuation detectors, my design, ironically enough. You can see us, Nilox stated, not bothering to make it a question. Not exactly, Shaw replied. But I can track the subtle dimensional distortions your cloaking creates. Quite elegant technology, by the way. The basement level has an emergency exit that leads to a maintenance tunnel. It will take you beneath the plaza to the adjacent building. I'll meet you there. The elevator lurched downward, its ancient mechanisms groaning in protest. Why are you helping us? Vorla asked. There was a pause before Shaw answered. Professional courtesy between observers. Besides, I'm curious about you, and official first contact would be messy at this stage. The elevator shuddered to a halt at the basement level. As promised, no guards awaited them, only rows of humming machinery and dim emergency lighting. Southeast corner, behind the large heating unit, Shaw directed. They found the exit, a heavy metal door with an electronic lock that should have prevented their passage. Instead, it opened at their approach, the security system already bypassed. The maintenance tunnel beyond was low and cramped, forcing the Valaxians to hunch their tall forms as they moved through the damp concrete passage. After several hundred meters, they reached another door, this one leading into what appeared to be a private laboratory. Standing beside the door, no longer in formal attire but in practical dark clothing, was Dr. Elena Shaw. Seeing her in person, without the interference of their surveillance equipment, Nalox was struck by how utterly unremarkable she appeared. Nothing in her physical form suggested the intellect and capabilities she had demonstrated. Welcome, she said, speaking aloud now rather than through their comm system. Your actual forms are probably more comfortable than whatever camouflage you're using. This room is secure. No surveillance. No signals in or out except on frequencies I control. You seem very prepared for extraterrestrial visitors, Dr. Shaw, Nalox observed, maintaining their camouflage despite her invitation. "Let's just say I've suspected we weren't alone for some time," she replied, gesturing toward comfortable seating arranged in a circle. "Please, make yourselves comfortable. If you're concerned about atmosphere composition, I can adjust the environmental controls." "How did you detect us?" Krell demanded, professional curiosity temporarily overriding his caution. Shaw smiled that unnerving smile again. "Your satellite was the first clue. The orbit was too precise, the materials too perfect. Then came the quantum disturbances, subtle, but present if you know what to look for. I've been tracking similar anomalies for months." "Months?" Trixis echoed in disbelief. "Did you think yours was the first observation team?" Shaw asked, raising an eyebrow. "The Orion delegation was here last year. Before that, something calling itself the Collective. They were less careful than you." Nelox felt his secondary heart stutter. No report of prior contact missions had been shared with his team, which meant either Shaw was bluffing or, more disturbing, other species were conducting unauthorized observations of Earth. "You understand this is a violation of Galactic Council protocols," he said, trying to regain some control of the situation. "Ah, so there is a Galactic Council." Shaw nodded, seeming pleased by the confirmation. "I suspected as much from fragments of communications I've intercepted. Tell me, Commander. It is Commander, isn't it? Does the Council often send teams to assess species without their knowledge, or are we a special case?" Nelox decided to take a calculated risk. With a gesture to his team, he deactivated their camouflage, revealing their true Valaxian forms. Tall, skeletal beings with multiple jointed limbs and large compound eyes. Shaw didn't flinch at their alien appearance. Instead, those calculating eyes studied them with genuine scientific interest. Fascinating adaptations, compound visual organs, exoskeletal reinforcement at joint structures, evolved for both aquatic and terrestrial environments. "I guess your knowledge is concerning," Nelox stated. "Knowledge is what I do, Commander," Shaw replied simply. "Others fight, build, or lead. I observe, analyze, and understand, just like you. Our mission is to assess potential threats before formal first contact," Nelox admitted, seeing little point in denying it now. "And what have you determined so far?" Shaw asked, leaning forward slightly. "General Harrison with his military might. Ambassador Chen with his cybernetic enhancements. Dr. Martinez with her weapons research." "They were obvious candidates," Nelox acknowledged. "Too obvious," Shaw corrected. "That's the fundamental misunderstanding most visitors make about humans. You focus on our obvious threats, our weapons, our leaders, our aggressive tendencies. You overlook what makes humans truly dangerous." "Which is?" Vorla prompted. Her xenobiological curiosity engaged despite the circumstances. "Adaptability," Shaw said simply. "Not just biological, but intellectual, social, technological. The most dangerous human in any room isn't the one with the biggest gun or the loudest voice. It's the quiet one in the corner, watching, learning, connecting patterns that others miss." She gestured to a wall of monitors that suddenly illuminated, showing surveillance footage from dozens of locations around the world. Military installations, research facilities, diplomatic meetings. "I've been studying your observers for years," she continued. "Not just you Valaxians, but all of them. Different physiologies, different technologies, but the same fundamental mistake, assuming that human threat equals human aggression. You've been preparing for us," Krell realized, his scientific mind finally grasping the implications. "Not just me," Shaw corrected. "A small network of us, scattered globally. We don't have official standing or military backing. We're just people who notice things others don't. Scientists, engineers, analysts. The quiet ones in the room." "How many?" Nelox asked, dreading the answer. "Enough," Shaw replied cryptically. "We don't interfere with your observations. In fact, we find them quite educational. Your technology alone has accelerated our understanding of quantum mechanics by decades. The implication was clear. Humans had been reverse engineering alien technology without any of the observation teams realizing it. Why reveal yourself to us now? Trixis asked. Because formal first contact is coming, Shaw said matter-of-factly. Your satellite was hardly subtle, and my colleagues have detected your council's communication signals. I wanted to establish a baseline for dialogue before the official circus begins. And what would you have us report to the council? Nalox asked. Shaw considered this for a moment. The truth. That humans are more aware than you think. That we've known about extraterrestrial observation for years, but chose to watch the watchers rather than react. That we're ready for formal contact, but it should be approached with mutual respect rather than the patronizing evaluation you've been conducting. She stood and walked to a secure cabinet, extracting a small device that she handed to Nilox. This contains all the observation data we've collected on your previous teams. Consider it a gesture of good faith. Nilox accepted the device cautiously. The Council may not appreciate learning their secret missions were compromised. Perhaps, Shaw agreed with a slight smile. But they'll be even less pleased if they proceed with formal contact unaware that we're already several steps ahead of their carefully orchestrated revelation. For the first time in his long career as an observer, Nilox felt genuinely outmaneuvered. This unremarkable human female had not only detected their presence, but had been monitoring their activities all along, gathering intelligence, and preparing countermeasures without ever revealing herself until she chose to. You understand now, don't you? Shaw asked, noting his realization. The most dangerous human isn't the one with the weapon or the one shouting threats. It's the one no one notices, the one quietly observing, analyzing, and preparing while others beat their chests. You, Nalox acknowledged, would be classified as an apex threat under Council guidelines. Shaw laughed, a surprisingly warm sound given the circumstances. Me? I'm just a curious scientist. The real apex threats are the ones you haven't noticed yet, because they're too good at staying hidden. As Nalox and his team prepared to depart with their unexpectedly altered mission data, he found himself reevaluating everything he thought he knew about humans. These creatures, seemingly primitive and chaotic, harbored hidden depths and capabilities that the Council had grossly underestimated. One last question, Dr. Shaw, he said as they activated their transport signals. Why did you personally intervene today? Why not remain hidden like your colleagues? Shaw considered this for a moment. Sometimes, she said, echoing his earlier words with a knowing look, the safest place is right next to the predator. At least then you can see their teeth. As the Valaxian team dematerialized, returning to their ship with a report that would send shockwaves through the Galactic Council, Belina Shaw returned to her monitors. She typed a brief message to her global network. First contact imminent. They know we know. Prepare accordingly. In orbital synchronization chambers across the galaxy, the Council would soon learn the most fundamental truth about human nature. The deadliest human in the room is always the one no one notices, until it's too late.